So first up, we're going to open up our element managers, log into RedHat, log into PowerStore, and log into PPDM. As you can see here is our file system storage, RedHat. So let's go deploy, create a simple project, very straightforward. Give it a name, PPDM demo. Just see if our storage classes are in CSI or configured correctly. And they are. And we're going to create a persistent volume claim here off the storage class, so PowerStore NFS. Give it a name, read write many, and we'll give really small size, 5 gig, a volume on file system, and click create. So here we go, bound. So we set this to automatically bind without attaching it to a pod. So you can see the persistent volume claim there that's created, and you can also see the file system that's going to be created in PowerStore, that has been created rather, so you can see it there. So CSI via API is provisioned the volume, and we have 5 gig of free space. So next up, we're going to deploy a really complicated application. It's just one pod. Right, so it'll serve a purpose. We'll write some data to that later on, just to display some persistence. So use the import YAML tool there on the OpenShift console. And container creating, and it's up and running. Right, you can see down below it's attached to the PVC, and you can see the backing storage and so on. Right, so you can see the mount point, mount/storage. So next up, we'll add PPDM to OpenShift, or OpenShift to PPDM rather, as an asset source. There's a couple of bits to this process, but before we do that, you'll see here what we'll do. Right, before we add, what we're going to do is just go to the download section. Download the following to your local machine, extract, and you'll be left with 3 files. Right, so this RBAC folder, you can see there, downloaded to the local machine. So there's 2 different YAMLs here, one discovery YAML and an RBAC YAML. There's also a README file, which I know everybody doesn't read, but it's really important we read this, because it contains the YAML file that's used to extract the secret when we're done. And we use the secret then to connect to PPDM. All right, so copy to PPDM to the clipboard. Go back into our OpenShift YAML editor again. Couldn't be simpler. Copy paste. If I can do this, right? Trust me, anybody can. Paste the contents in, click create. And we can see here a success on the right. All right, so just the roles and whatnot. I think people can read here, right? So again, for the next YAML, controller.rbac.yaml, again, creates roles, bindings, so on. Now you hit a small error here, right? I must feed back to some of the product teams around this. But it's not, it'll just try and recreate the PowerProtect namespace again. Obviously, since it's already there, you'll get a slight error, but it doesn't matter, we can proceed. Or we call them projects, don't we, in the OpenShift world. Right, so that's fine, we can ignore that. So next up, again, embedded in the README file, all right, with a big red arrow, right? Just copy and paste. I'm going to redact the end of file at the end because that'll error out. But straight into the import the YAML file or YAML editor in OpenShift. Copy paste, and now it's generated the service account token. We'll scroll down to the bottom and copy and paste the token, or copy the token. All right, back into PPDM. Now we can add it as an asset source proper. So click add, give it a name. I've called it OC11 here for my cluster. Give it the API address, redact the HTTP header, port 64443. Let's create the credential, give it any name, and then here we paste in the token we've just extracted from OpenShift. Click save and verify the certificate, accept, and now it'll kick off the discovery process. This will take a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, so the configuration job will have to kick off and it starts pulling the available namespaces or projects in OpenShift as part of the discovery process. So here you can see after a couple of minutes, and we can do our search. Let's go search for the namespace or project that we have configured or created, and you can see it there, right? So it's not protected at the moment, it's in an unprotected state. Okay, so next up is let's create a protection policy for this namespace. Again, very straightforward. Crash consistent. Add the assets. Now we're going to add them all. Well, all within that namespace. We'll see that in a second. Do a search here for ppd-demo. Click next. Add a primary backup, and you can see here now this is where data domain is, so that's our DDV backing it, and we haven't dug into this yet, right? So DDV is the backing storage. So full backup, we'll say every 8 hours, retain for 1 day. Click save, next, and finish. All right. So PPDM will go off and configure this policy for us. So it should be ready in a couple of seconds. But what we'll do is we'll trigger this manually, all right? Because we wanted the demo here. I don't want to wait until it kicks off. So we're going to kick this off manually. In a second, we'll just wait till that configuration job finishes. Yeah, so now we can protect now. Full backup. This is the first backup we've done. Protect, and it goes off and does the process of the protection, right? So you can see here in the video that I fast forwarded, but if you're BDI'd, you'll see the C proxy being deployed as the data mover in the PowerProtect namespace in OpenShift, and then when it's finished, it deletes or pulls back down that pod, the data mover pod, transparent to the user. All right, so you can see here the process here on the right of what's gone through. So now we have OpenShift connected to our OpenShift as an asset source in PPDM, and we've created a namespace. We've done a demo pod application, right? But so let's put something in the application and fail it over. Okay, so I'm not an application developer, so this is the best it gets. So I'm just going to write something to a file. So that /mount/storage path. All right, we've saved that, and we're going to run the job again because this has got there's a change to the copy, or change to the file rather. So we're just going to run another manual backup. Again, we could wait for the 8 hours until whenever kicked it off, but we'll do this quickly here. We'll run the job. Fast forwarding again. Now I did slow down this time to see, you can see the C proxy here being deployed, right? So subject for another video, I think we'll dig deeper into what that does. Yep. All right, so error, right? So what happens if we accidentally delete the OpenShift namespace? All right, so luckily we have a backup to the rescue, right? So it happens, so sometimes it could happen, or we could lose everything, or we could just inadvertently delete the namespace. So here we're just going to delete the namespace, or delete the project. I keep on saying project, right? So delete the project, and this will pull down everything, right? Obviously it'll pull down pods, it'll pull down the whole lot, everything associated with the project, including the PVC. If it pulls down the PVC, it'll also trigger the deletion of that file system on PowerStore, and we'll see that in a second. So we'll be left with nothing. Yep, everything terminating, so our PVC is gone, and we'll go over to PowerStore here, and we'll see, yep, just double check on the file systems, and we'll see that file system has also disappeared, gone. So let's kick off the recovery workflow on PPDM, of the copy we just created. Again, we can just manually do this recovery, very simple. We're going to restore to a new namespace, restore everything associated with the namespace. So we're going to give this name ppdm-restore. We could have given it its own name because that's gone as well, right? Existing PVC, and off we go. So this again does the reverse process. It'll install the C proxy. It'll push the data from PPDM via from DDV back to OpenShift. Just fast forward again. Let's log back into OpenShift and see what it's doing here. Again on the PowerProtect namespace. I'm going to pull down here. Yeah, so you can see our C proxy there as well. Right, so the C proxy is spun up in the PowerProtect data namespace in order to push the data back into the OpenShift cluster. Alright, so C proxy has been deleted, pull back, so the data is moved. So you can see here that it's 100% successful, so everything should be back in that new namespace we've created, or project rather, we have created. So let's see if it works. So back in we go into OpenShift. Here's our new namespace, here's our pod. Alright, so let's take a look in the terminal in a second of the pod. And our file should be still the same. So let's cat to this file. Now this could be an application or whatnot, so it's still the same, it serves the same process, or shows the same example. Namespace pod and application should be up and running. And we can see here. Very slow typer, I gave it a very long name. And there we go. All good. So thanks for joining or listening to the video. Here's the next time.